Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It is 12 o'clock live. It's Carm Capriato, the Town Hall Academy. We do it every Friday here. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? The Town Hall Academy, offering great aftermarket insights and wisdom for all my friends and all my peers in the automotive aftermarket as we take a single subject. And like an academy, we kind of tear it apart with some guests. And I think you had already seen a great picture of my guests. Hey, look at we're coming to you live from the Remarkable Results Radio Podcast Studio, otherwise called my Carm Cave. All kind of some neat stuff up here behind me. I'd like to introduce you to my guests. Oh, look at this. Carl Hutchinson from Hutchinson's Complete Automotive in Springfield, Missouri. Hey, Carl.
Good morning. It's still morning here. I know you
Yeah,
guys on
it
the
is.
East
Well,
Coast.
yeah. It's lunchtime where I'm from, and
Right.
Justin Barrett, also East Coaster from Cornelia, Georgia, at Barrett Automotive. Hey, Justin.
Yeah, good afternoon, Carm.
Thanks for being here, guys. Look, a really tough subject. I've talked to so many people that said, "Wow, what a relief!" I pulled the trigger on a really tough decision, and the company blossomed. We had less stress. The culture changed, and it does happen. Thank you so much for coming on the show and doing this. There's not many people that would want to come on and say, I've made a really tough decision on. Um, Addition by subtraction, making a very, very difficult fire. But again, I always appreciate that. If you're hanging out with us on social media, I'd love to have you check in with your city, give us a like, maybe a comment, or please share this, amongst your peers and your friends. No doubt that this episode is going to help someone. Don't forget, we do repurpose this each and every Thursday as not only a podcast, but as a video. Hey, I want to thank our great partners here on the show. Digital communication makes it easy for your customers to understand the value that you're providing when you fix their car. You'll feel appreciated, your staff will feel appreciated, and most importantly, you'll sell the work and pay the bills. On the web at getshopware.com. Hey, are you consistently being interrupted by customer calls when trying to make repairs? Well, with Broadly's web chat feature, you can respond to a customer's question right on your phone. Be in touch with customer inquiries at getbroadly.com/chat. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Okay, everybody. What are we doing next week? Tuesday, Aftermarket Weekly. And we do that live. We also have a shop tour. We're going to be with Fred Guest Wiki from Fix It with Fred. Great guy's been on the show before. Can't wait to see his place. Now, next week, do we have the graphic for, Town Hall Academy, a service advisor role play, number 6. So we've done 5 of these already. I'm really excited to have Ethan, Chad, and Arena on with me. That'll be a really cool thing. I hear so much about these role plays where people do a lot of lunch and learns, and they watch this, and there's an awful lot to learn. So, guys, let's jump in this thing. Thank you for bearing all, if you will, and sometimes I have to be in the proper and the right mood to, if you will, talk about some things that I may not be super proud of or about, but tell me, you probably struggle to make these kinds of tough decisions, yet at the end of the day, you find out that they were the right thing to do.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin. You're on this one.
Yeah, I think from a leadership and owning the company role, I think personnel decisions are the hardest decisions that we have to make. I know they are for me personally, because like we spoke about yesterday, one of my weakest parts is I'm a big softy when it comes to people, and I really, I see the best in people and I see what they can be. So I sometimes I give too many chances for people to correct their flaws, and especially when they keep proving over and over and over that they're either unmotivated or they're unwilling to improve. And this is one of the areas that I think I've grown the most in the last, probably 12 to 18 months, is just ripping the band-aid, um, when we talked about the EOS tools with the people analyzer, you put people through these series of questions, and you give them 30 days to improve. And then if they show that they're unwilling to improve or correct the flaws, you really need to get them out. Because one thing that I have found is you get one bad apple in a group of 8 or 9, and it really starts turning your best performers. They start missing deadlines with vehicle repairs. They start missing their goals. They really start slacking. It's crazy how one person can really pull down the whole mood of a shop. So and we really need to guard that. I think that's our one of our most important roles is guarding the culture of the shop, the feel of the shop, the morale of the shop. And if we let one person in there that doesn't fit, that really affects everyone.
Carl, I know you have something to say, but did you ever have a gang fire?
No, I've never had a gang fire, but
You
there
know what
was
I
a
mean
day
by
that
that?
we lost 2 or 3 employees
Well, I don't
in
mean
a
it by that.
48-hour period.
This has happened to me where I struggled with the decision so bad that I can't remember, it was 3 or 4 of my great people came in the office, closed the door, and said, it's him or us.
Yes, we've experienced that, and going back to the very early days, I had 2 employees that I thought were friends. Actually, we hired one because of the other one, and it wasn't very long before one was at the other one's throat, and it was either he goes or I go. And I hate to say that I said, "Well, it's been nice knowing you," because you're the problem, and the other one wasn't. So that's that story. But yeah, you don't want to give people ultimatums. I mean, I fell into that category years ago, that I gave an ultimatum and found myself unemployed. So that's not a fun place to be. But the thing with the bad apple is, I think Justin hit on it pretty well there. That a lot of times we don't know that they're the bad apple. That's the thing, is all of a sudden morale goes down and productivity goes down, or you have this showing up for work late, or not getting excited, and you're thinking, wow, why is this employee that way? And you come to find out that it's not that employee, it's another one that's causing the issues. And we had a scenario several years ago to where I held on to an employee a lot longer than what I should have. And honestly, I wound up losing 2 good employees because of it, and I couldn't save them. And it was that I tolerated stuff that I shouldn't have, and the big heart thing. I fall into the same category as Justin. That I see more in people than what they see in themselves, and I kept somebody way too long, and I wound up losing not only that person but people around them, and then we had to go through the whole team rebuilding thing again. And it's hard to identify what that is, because I did not realize that that was affecting everybody else until it was too late, and it was just
Guy,
saving them.
both of you, I hear you say, Carl, Justin, you said, listen, I'm a smoothie, I'm a softie when it comes to that. Let me turn that around to, you got a big heart. It's,
Yeah.
you got a big heart. You care about people. You gave them a ton of chances. Carl, in the case of you lost 2 and you kept 1, were you not aware
Oh
of
yes, and
see, you
yeah,
you were aware, but you just kept trying to, again, it came up, and if it will, it slapped you in the back. You knew it was going to happen. No, you knew you had to do something, but you never thought you'd lose 2 versus the 1 you shouldn't
right.
have kept.
Honestly, I should have just went in and just exited the person out. We would have been 1,000 times better off with nobody in that seat, it just being open, as opposed to destroying really a good work crew that's taken us a long time to rebuild. And that was something, until you've been there, you don't know. You don't know what the repercussions are, and so you got to live through it. even though people are telling you, you need to do this, you need to do that. So yeah, the other side of it is, once those people were out, we were able to identify some really great people that have come in. So yeah, that it's that addition by subtraction thing. We actually gained talent, we gained productivity, we gained a whole new way of doing things, because this was in a transition period of us actually running a business like a business instead of running a shop like a shop, like we've always done in the past. Yeah, you got to clock in, you got to clock out, you got to, all these things that we've implemented over the years to make us an actual business. Some of the old crew just did not get it. It's like, we don't understand it. But all the new crew that came in, it's just, well, that's the way you operate. You punch a clock, or you do this, you fill out that form, and they don't know any different. And that's really the way that it should be. So yeah, we added by getting rid of, and yeah, sometimes you just don't know who the bad apples are until it's too late.
Well, and sometimes we do know, and we just don't act.
Yeah,
That's a
thank
that's
you,
a
thank you for
flaw.
saying that, Dwayne. So I'm sorry, it was Dwayne who just showed up, and Jerry's here.
It's
I
Hey,
okay.
love,
Jerry, yeah.
I
Dwayne's my
love,
middle name, so I'll answer to that
yeah,
also.
I bet you will. So guys, what gets in the way of making these tough decisions? I
Well,
mean,
for me, I think it's a little bit of fear. Either,
Bingo.
man, I'm going to have to get back in the shop and work, and I really don't want to do that because I'm going to get behind on everything I have to do. Or, you know, can I replace them? Can I? Because we all know how hard it is to find quality employees. Am I better off tolerating versus doing without? And we know that's a terrible,
Mhm.
that's a terrible thing to do. But that's sometimes the rationale that we run in our mind. Well, maybe they're not that bad. We'll just tolerate them
Yeah.
because I've
And that's exactly it, Justin.
yeah I've
Exactly.
played that
Yeah.
the devil and the angel on your shoulder type deal, and you're going back and forth. Well, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
They do okay. At least they're producing 20 hours a week.
Right.
yeah, because he's so right, Carl, and you agree
Right.
with him. And look at Jerry says that been there and done that. I finally had to let
Mhm.
two go 2-3 weeks ago, and everybody else comes to me and said,
Yeah. It's about
"Boss,
time.
it's about time."
Yeah.
And so the fear of the unknown, will I have to? I have always heard the great stories. Everybody stepped up. It kind of reminds me of vacations.
Hmm.
Did you ever see how successful the place runs when somebody goes on vacation? The greatest person in the world, at the end of the week, we all worked hard, but we got through it.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's
And
exactly right. We've
yeah,
all of our record months that we've ever had in production and sales. There's always been somebody off on vacation. There's always been maybe a sickness or uh, whatever. But you look at that and you go, wow, that 40 hours of production or whatever, that person wasn't here. What if they were here? Where could we be? And why does it run better when there's all this weirdness happening? But yeah, every time that we've had to make an adjustment within our staff, it's always cool to see who steps up. And it's not always the people that you think. It surprises me sometimes. I just absolutely love it when they come to me and they go, hey, I know you're in a tight spot. What is it that I can do to help? Can I take this off of your plate? Or can I volunteer to do this because I know that was part of their job? Or I'll stay late. Or honestly, it just amazes me when people do that. And I love the growth. I mean, if anybody's been around me very long at all, they know that's what we are here. We identify people and try to make them grow, and that's right down to our core values. And so that is my struggle with when I see more in people than they see in themselves, and I hang on to them instead of, like Justin said, just rip the band-aid off and go out and shake their hand and say, it's been nice knowing you. That's a challenge because I always want to see people succeed, and I give them all the tools to succeed. But then I'm probably the one that gets in their way too when they need to be somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I've learned is, you know, they're not necessarily bad people. And I
Right.
think this is a discussion that we had to have because we had there's whenever we decided on this topic, there was two previous employees that were top of mind that I held on
Mhm.
too long, probably three, but I made a decision on that third one pretty quick because I learned from the other two.
You're
but
learning.
but
You're getting calluses.
yeah, yeah, I guess learning, getting a little more wisdom,
Yeah. Yeah.
a little more seasoned. But they're not bad people. It's just that it didn't fit in
Mm.
our environment, or they would have been better somewhere else. It's like you know the right seat theory. This
Right.
just wasn't the right seat for them. It wasn't that they're bad people, and I'm still friends with both of um, those guys today, and we talk, and was actually texting the other day, and they're happier than they've ever been, and I'm happier than I've ever been that they're not here.
Mhm.
Guys, we did a show, I think it was 3 weeks ago now, on transformational coaching. And it was a great episode. So much to learn from that. It's about staying close to your people. It's about open and transparent communications. And it goes back, Carl, to, I guess, if the dialogues were strong within the company, all peoples, not
Right.
just the person that you're really looking to carry over the line or make a decision on. What are they talking to you about? What are they saying? But the rest of the team, because you should
Right.
always be testing the, if you will, the blood pressure, the pulse of the
Mhm.
organization by staying close enough to your people. You want to
Right.
hear from them.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges, honestly, as we've implemented new ideas and different ways of operating here. You've got these quarterly meetings, you get these, you get to sit down and visit with your staff, and there's a whole program there of tell me what's working, what's not. What are you struggling with? Tell me what's broke. And honestly, it's not necessarily tools or equipment. It could be, what's broke is my relationship with XYZ over there. We can't breathe the same air without fighting. And, you need to know that. And then being open and honest, and not just at a leadership level, but really across the whole board. You need to you need to have that ability to have the open door, so to speak. Anybody can walk into my office and sit down and visit with me and be open and honest, and not jeopardize their job. That we need to make that very clear. That if we have a relationship issue, we have somebody that's doing something out of line, that is something that has to be done, whether it's me or another staff member that's set up in that position. But that goes right back to hiring and orientation. Part of our orientation is, um, you're not only to police yourself, but you got to police the other people too. If they're doing something unsafe, or they come in with alcohol on their breath or whatever, that is your responsibility to let us know, because they are jeopardizing your job. They're jeopardizing my job. So it's an overall thing, and being open and honest is very hard. I mean, really, it's very hard for people because they feel like it's going to come back on them, but it's for the betterment of the whole company.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you said hiring, Carl, because I think that is the key to preventing a lot of this. I think we've all read the book, The Ideal Team Player.
Mm.
I think I've read it three, maybe four times. I actually assigned it last summer to the whole staff to read, and the book, um, the book opened the eyes to one of the guys that we had a
Mhm.
problem with, and he confided in the other guy, said, after reading that book, I don't think I'm in the right place. Then
That
he was gone within
yeah,
6 weeks. It made my job pretty easy. But
right.
um, I was getting into hiring because we're going through the process right now of interviewing for another tech. And one thing I've learned, what I used to do is, if I found someone because we needed someone, we hired them on the spot. But now we've really slowed that process down. You know, do the phone interview, really read over the resume,
Mhm.
call the names that they put on the application, check the references, bring them in. I did a 2-hour sit down interview with a candidate on Tuesday.
Mhm.
Went really, really well. So I let him leave. I called him back the next day. And tonight we're scheduled to go to dinner with him and his wife. And we're going to have a nice dinner together, kind of get to know each other on a more personal basis, see what his relationship with his wife is like. What is that dynamic?
Right.
Because I don't know if you've worked with an employee who has a pretty rough home life. I mean, that does bleed into
Yeah.
work. As much as we want to
Right.
say, leave home at home and bring work to work and keep the two separated, that's impossible. So
Mhm.
all those things are important to me anyway. Whenever I'm bringing someone in, I want to make sure that they're good people. They got a pretty stable home life, because that's going to affect how they operate
Yeah.
at work. And I want to make sure all that stuff is kind of gelling before we bring them in.
Yeah.
But if we can stop that bad apple from ever getting on the team, it's going to be a whole lot easier.
Hey guys, let me pause you. We'll come back and do segment B. Talk about our great partners here. When was the last time you ordered something online? A burger from Grubhub, your groceries from Amazon. How about things that are really high tech, like auto repair? Shopware's online interactive repair orders let you do just that. Check it out for yourself at getshopware.com. Hey, lots of companies say they can help your shop get more reviews, but what do they really offer? Broadly is the only platform that partners with Google for reviews and messaging, all in the auto space. On the web at getbroadly.com/chat. Hey guys, we were talking patience, having patience, and I think you can still have a big heart and have patience. It goes back to a thought that I had as you were explaining, Carl, about running the business in a very professional way. And I just can't help but think my great friend who we lost just recently, Bob Greenwood, said, "We're a profession, not a trade." And for so many that have come across that threshold, jumped over that valley to professionalism, you're running your businesses differently, and it poses just so many different challenges.
Mhm.
And so you're really looking forward to, how can I take an individual that I see so much potential in?
Right.
I'll never forget. I had a person that hung out for 6 months. 6 months, person couldn't get it. I kept showing, and the person kept saying to themselves, tab A into slot B. He was talking to himself about all the tasks that he had to do. And I kept saying, why am I doing this? I
Yeah.
mean, it kind of almost was dragging me down. But I saw so much incredible, the person was a great person. And I thought that when they made the leap over to really knowing what the job was, that they were going to be a superstar. And that was one of the great moments that I always go back on and
Mhm.
says I would hang in there with a person,
Yeah.
sometimes blindly too loyal, because I had a 6-month success rate. And in some cases today, we can't allow 6 months to burn.
No.
No, you really can't. And it's a challenge because the labor pool is so small now, and we're honestly in the same battle with the HVAC people, the plumbers, the electricians, uh, whatever trade that you want to say. We're all focusing on that same type of a person. And so now that one person has choices to go wherever they want to go, and they really have to have a passion to be in this industry. I mean, you just almost have to live, eat, and breathe cars anymore to be in this industry. And that's one of the things that we do look for is, did they, I don't know, did they play with their mini bikes? Did they take their lawnmower apart? Were they fixing the neighbor's car? Were they putting brakes on their in-laws' cars or whatever? And those are the things that we're looking for. And you just don't have time anymore to, Justin's in a much different market that I'm in. I can't take 3 days to hire somebody. If we identify somebody that fits what we need, I'm making them an offer right now. And it's because they're at 3 more interviews right after mine, and they'll be gone before the afternoon. So we've had to change our focus and really just jump on them fast and weed them out fast, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But you know, we've got an apprenticeship program here, and that is golden. I mean, it's absolutely golden to grow people, but you have to be in a mindset that it is a growth thing. And you know, we get a few bad apples for that too. We've had some that I thought were going to be great, and a day or two shows up, and it's like, oh yeah, no, we're we're going to exit out of that one. And so yeah, I mean, it's a challenge when you want to invest. You know, our apprenticeship program's 2 years long, and that's just to get you to not even a master technician. We've got a 4-year plan to get people to what I call a journeyman technician, just experience based model. And that's a huge investment. I mean, that's a huge investment in somebody. So we want to protect that pretty close. And I don't just let everybody into that. But yeah, you've got to identify them pretty quickly and figure out, well, do they have the aptitude? Do they have the desire? And you know, do they get where we want to go with it?
Yeah, I agree completely. And you know, Carl, I'm probably going to be in that same situation again. Pretty, you know, I'm sure in the future
Mhm.
where I got to make a quick hire, but I feel pretty comfortable right now. And I think we're in a good spot where we don't have to make a hire. You know, we're really just making a hire for growth, so we can
Mhm.
take in more cars, increase our capacity. So I kind of feel lucky and privileged that we are in a position where we can slow the process down.
Yeah.
But that could change next week, so you never know.
You know, Carl, if you weren't rushed, would you slow it down, or are you just saying I've got to jump on any living, breathing thing and bring
Oh,
it in,
absolutely.
work our system, if you will,
Oh,
hire
absolutely.
quick, fire
Yeah.
quick instead of
Yeah.
hire slow.
Right. And you know, that was always the model, or always the advice before. It's hire slow, fire quick, or you know, however you want to look at it. But now it is. There's probably 100 plus positions available in our market right now for a technician of various levels. So if you've got one guy that's moving into the area, or if you've got one guy that's unhappy where he's at, honestly, he doesn't have to roll his toolbox very far and he'll have a job. I mean, it's just there's such a vacuum in our market. So when we identify somebody that uh, you know, has the abilities, even if we have to train them, if we have to coach them, if we have to do something to get them up to speed where we're at, I'm usually making them an offer pretty quick and getting them in. But boy, yeah, if I had to do it the way we were doing it, absolutely, I would love to slow down. I'd love to take them to dinner, because yeah, family problems, home problems, uh, are probably one of the biggest issues that we identified with our personnel, that they show up late, they come in a bad mood, you know, they just their production's low. I mean, all of those things. And when you get to really asking them about it, it's like, well, I didn't get any sleep last night because me and the
Yeah,
wife were fighting, or the kids were up sick, or you know, or
yeah,
whatever. I mean, the multitude of problems. But I'd love to slow it down. I'd love to be able to take a
yeah.
couple of days and do
Tho-
it.
those problems come to work. You're right. Put up that Dwayne comment again, Tracy. And I like this idea, Carl. You say, well, listen, if I make somebody an offer, I know they have 3 interviews later that day. But if you had a fistful of resumes, because you always be recruiting, right?
Right.
Always be recruiting.
Yeah.
You can still, if you will, build a relationship through non-rushed
Hmm.
meetings. Well, instead of looking for an extremely hot back burner,
Right.
10 temperature person, you're looking at a 5 and a 6 on the pressure scale, and then you can spend time with them and then say, we're getting ready to hire fast. We need a
Right.
person. We'll go in the folder that says I took them to dinner. I
Right.
know they creamed up. You
Right.
you discovered the kind of issues that would worry you about hiring them.
Right.
It's a great point, Dwayne. And again, he's got 5 shops, and he's in a metropolitan area, very much like you, Carl. That would predicate
Yeah.
him to make quicker decisions. And to me, it's very smart, Dwayne. Thank you for
I need
that.
to get to know Dwayne.
Oh, yes, you do. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I need to get to know Dwayne.
Yeah. He'd
Yeah,
take a phone
that is
call from you tomorrow.
that is a good idea to vet them before you ever need them.
Yeah.
And I think that's well, before COVID, when we're still having the after hours training classes through Napa and CarQuest, all them, I still really, even though I'm not in the shop, I still want to go to those training classes,
Mm.
shake hands with everyone, introduce myself. And
Yeah.
we're actually putting on a training class here at the shop in a couple weeks and
Mm.
get shops coming to our doors.
Yep.
Just to stay in front of people, introduce them, and
Yep.
you kind of get to see them in the environment, how they interact with others, so you can kind of point out, yeah, man, that guy would be, I would
Mhm.
really like to have that guy on my team, or
Well,
that
and you
guy,
want
guy's
them,
a little
yeah,
rough, I probably don't want him.
yeah, you want them coming into your facility
Hmm.
going, "Oh wow, your place is clean. Oh wow, you've got a nice clean sink. Oh look at that, you've got scan tools. You've got oh look at that, you got a nice whatever." And it's like, wow, it'd be kind of nice to work in an environment like this. I mean, they're not going to tell you that, but I was a technician. I mean, I went to all of these trainings and the different shops, and I've been to some places like there is no way in the world you could pay me to work in these places. But the opposite is true too. You want them walking through your door, and to me, that's a great marketing plan, Justin, to have the trainings at your facility, and you just have an open door. They walk through, and they're gonna know. They walk into your break room or whatever, and they're gonna know. Wow, you got a break room. You know, you actually have a table or a chair or a TV or air conditioning or whatever. And it's like I'm eating in my toolbox. I'm.
Yeah.
I mean, we see a lot of shops, and that's it. I've seen many picnic tables in the middle of shops with a fan blowing on it, and that's their break room. And I don't know. I don't necessarily want to work there. And I don't want that environment for us. And we go out of our way to make it better. I will tell you a quick story just about this. Since get back to the topic of addition by subtraction, I offered a guy a job one time, and I thought, man, this guy is awesome. I mean, just interviewed him. We went through the 2 interviews, went through the whole thing, and put a job offer letter in front of him, and he was really reluctant to sign it. And I thought, well, okay, that's red flag number one. And so we had a handshake deal, and it's like, yeah, bring your toolbox, and poof, he was gone. He never came back. He wouldn't answer his calls, emails, or text, nothing. And it's like, okay, maybe that fits this program. By not adding him, I don't have to subtract him. So
No,
I
he
didn't
probably
I didn't have
dodged
to
a
release.
bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was one of those things that he may have felt intimidated by us. I don't know. I mean, we run a different operation than a lot of places, but I think that fits that bill. It is. I just thought, well, that's one person I didn't have to have. I didn't have to have a exit interview with.
I love that thought. I want to do my final break here. We'll
Yeah.
come back for our last segment, and I do have a question for both of you.
Sure.
Hey, here's a little tip. Sell with clicks, not calls. Showcase your technical expertise and get to yes faster. Use Shopware's online interactive repair orders, and you'll put your value at your customers' fingertips. Book a demo today at getshopware.com. And looking to upgrade your website and make it easier for customers to connect with your shop? Sounds great, doesn't it? Let Broadly build you a professional, responsive website that you can be extremely proud to show off to your client base and the community. GetBroadly.com/chat. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and get the skinny on everything we're doing here. Guys, did you ever fault yourself? Ever fault yourself for a bad hire or a no-show?
Every time. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ultimately my fault. I let
Yeah.
'em I let them join the business. It was my duty to vet them and
Yeah.
to see through the mess. Um, So yeah, it's always my fault.
Yeah, it always rolls uphill. Unfortunately, it's not like plumbers. It doesn't roll downhill. It all rolls uphill. Whoever whoever's the guy that's doing the interviewing, whoever's the guy that's doing the quarterly meetings or the weekly lunches or whatever it is, he's the ultimate one that's responsible for making that decision, whether it's correction or whether it's exiting or elevating or whatever. You know, it's one of those things. Leaders don't make excuses, and I've never made an excuse other than I own that problem. I own what happened, and I can't do anything about the past, but I can sure fix the future. And yeah, I mean, all of the things I look back employee wise that I can't say, well, that's somebody else's fault. I can't say somebody else owns that one because they all come back to me. And as we add people in to do the HR stuff and the interviewing, you know, it's ultimately going to be them. But you as the leader, you have to own the problem, and you have to. Every time I've ever had an issue with any employees, one of the first things I do is I go out and gather up all the rest of the employees, say, this is what happened. This is where we're at. I own this problem. Unfortunately, this was the fix for it. And we have to go forward. And, you know, there's some things that you can cascade out to your staff, and then there's some things that you can't. And that's the challenge. I mean, you know, we want to protect people, and there's a lot of people that's worked for us over the years that I still call friends, and that I had to shake their hand and walk them out the back door, and I still call them friends. And I honestly, I love that because we all play in the same sandbox. We all go to the same trainings, and I want to be able to walk into a training class or wherever and shake their hand, hug them, and ask them about their kids and that kind of thing, even though they don't work for us anymore. And you know, that's a challenge.
Well, guys, look at I want to bring this to a conclusion. I want to do a last call here. One of the great talking points that I heard here today was to get over your fear. I want to add a couple of things to that. Life happens.
Mhm.
It's not a perfect world. Don't dump on yourself because you made a bad hire. Dump on yourself because you maybe let that bad hire last too long. And keep close to your people because I
Right.
think that, they always know what it is that your strengths, they know your weaknesses, and they know what you do and don't do good for the business.
Right.
Your people know. Don't think that they don't. So let's just go around the room, and Carl, let me give you your last call. Then Justin, you can put a bow on it.
I'm not sure what a last call is, but you know, the one thing that I like to see is even if people that don't, um, or I should say, no longer are employed with Complete Automotive, I want to see them go on and succeed. I want to be that guy that stands behind them and says, you know, you didn't succeed here, but you're going to succeed somewhere else. You're just in the wrong environment. You may be in the wrong trade. You may be in the wrong position, and there's not another position here for you. But I don't want to walk away from people. I really like to be behind them, even if they decide they want to be a firefighter or a nurse or whatever it is. Um, I want to be able to be behind them and say, you know, I was a part of that. Or if they go on to be a great technician or service advisor or owner somewhere else, I was a part of that. And I think we ought to be proud of what we do and how we handle our businesses and how we handle our staff. So I think that's one of the things that I'd like everybody to take away from this is you're doing the right thing for that other person, not just yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They probably weren't happy themselves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they just got to give them a nudge. Um, and there was a book. I can't remember the book, but it said there's going to be, I think it was 3 days of pain with the decision of letting
Mhm.
someone go. I can't remember which book it was,
Right.
but that is 100% true. And as soon as you get that
Yeah.
feeling, I mean, you listen to your gut. You know what decision you need to make, especially if you're in the business, you're staying really close to the pulse, communicating with everyone well. Um, just rip the band-aid,
Mhm.
get over it. It's going to be 3 days of hurt, and then you're
Yep.
going to be fine. And I've made the mistake of just making it, instead of 3 days of pain, 6 months of pain.
I'll throw in one last thing here. I don't want to steal your glory there, Justin, but it just dawned on me. For those of us that are married and our spouses are involved in the occupation and in the process here, listen to them. They know way before you do. They know way before you do. So yeah, we have to listen to that other person. So that's been
I
one of my
concur.
challenges. Yeah.
I
That is one of the smartest things that was said
Right.
all day today. Listen to the significant other.
Right.
They have a perspective, and it especially if they're not deeply involved in the business, they can see it differently.
Right. They have a whole different set of eyes, and they ask a whole different set of questions, and they watch body language, they watch the eye rolls, they watch all that stuff. And yeah, every time that we've ever had an issue, my wife has been on it way before I was. So
Hey guys, thank you so much. You know, the best kept secret in the automotive aftermarket is Remarkable Results Radio, Town Hall Academy for personal networking. If you don't belong to one, I encourage you so much to be part of a 20 group, a network, a business development group. And if not, you come here for all your juice. Thank you so much to Carl Hutchinson from Complete Automotive and Justin Barrett out there in Cornelius, Georgia. Guys, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks.